Hey, sorry you can't see me, but I'm at one of my favorite places in all of St. George City Cemetery. To me, it's peaceful here. I've got ancestors buried here. Not a bad location here. I'll show you something. Let's see here. Right in there. Let's see here. Sorry, I've never had to do this before. Yep, right in there. Beyond the trees is going to be Dixie State University. Now, and unfortunately, Board of Trustees and the State House of Representatives have voted to change its name from Dixie State to something else, just because they say that graduates are having a hard time getting jobs because of the name Dixie in it, and people associate Dixie with slavery. Now, all that's needed now is for the state senate to approve. To those of you who want this name change, do you realize the heritage you are hurting? People like me, I did not grow up here. A lot of people did. Love this town. You're not solving anything. You're just taking away a heritage that actually only has anything to do with slavery because of its name and how it got its name. St. George is called Dixie because possibly short for Utah's Dixie, because in the 1800s the settlers grew cotton here. And the name Dixie, Utah's Dixie, is just part of the identity of this town. You are attacking something that had historically and currently nothing functionally to do with slavery. This is just a battle to really just be waged by people's emotions, basically choosing to be offended, not using their heads. Because ultimately, if you think about it, removing the name Dixie is only a fruit of the problem. And it's not just Dixie State either. Dixie Regional Medical Center, which is about half a mile beyond it, has changed its name from Dixie Regional Medical Center to St. George Regional Hospital. Now, for those of you who are in Utah, think here. Use your heads. Piece of information to give you. St. George Regional Medical Center is the biggest hospital between Salt Lake and Las Vegas, and they're split between two campuses. They have literally no one who can compete with them down here. So why change the name when people are only going to go to Dixie because they have nowhere else to go? Only just to win so that people up in Salt Lake keep going to Intermountain instead of University of Utah. Excuse me. It's ridiculous. Now maybe those at Intermountain don't realize what they've done. They might say, "Oh, it's just a hospital." No, it's part of the town. Dixie. It's like the local waste management service here has Dixie in their name. Let's see, what else has Dixie in its name down here? A lot of stuff. The Dixie Tech up on the mesa. A lot of stuff has its name Dixie on there. It's part of the identity of this town, which it happened to borrow from somewhere that had slaves, because this place grew cotton just like they did. You're attacking a heritage of a place that has become my home, and a lot of people love it too. So, for those of you who are just trying to what I was getting to, the real fruit of this problem, this is just the fruit of the problem. The real problem is people not using their heads, people thinking with their emotions and not actually with their heads. Because if you think back to the 90s, nobody was offended by the name Dixie. Maybe subconsciously you were a little bit if you were actually talking about the South. But But I mean, like, in terms of like Utah's Dixie, I don't know a single person down here, a lot of them Californians, because a lot of Californians come to Dixie State for cheap tuition, aren't offended by the name Dixie. So think with your heads here. Yes, slavery was a bad thing, but St. George has no history of slavery that I've ever found. So leave it alone, knock it off. And now to the Utahns out there, we have to choose more carefully our politicians, because some of them, I think, have an agenda and are probably conspiring against white straight Christian male heritage, which they call white privilege, as well as actually probably just that. And then I think some politicians are just trying to further their careers, not caring about us, see a way that they can reach across the gap. We have to remove them and vote them out. And for those who you think are actually in a conspiracy, blacklist them. Because if they're not doing anything actually illegal, the federal government has no power over them. We have to. Blacklist them, prevent their employment, make it sting once they get out of office.